priming powder in the pan, and then this is where it becomes the muzzle loader. The rest of the cartridge is going to go down the barrel. The next step is to withdraw the ramrod, which is probably the most aptly named tool in human history because it is a long rod, and I use it for ramming. I ram the cartridge down all the way to the end, 2 taps, withdraw. And now the manual makes specific mention of soldiers to return the ramrod to the furniture and give it a tap to make sure it was there. And that was to stop soldiers from firing the ramrod by accident, which some of them had a nasty habit of doing. It might shish kebab somebody, it might cause a funny noise or something like that. You might laugh after firing it by accident, but your officer's going to make you go over and ask for it back when he wants you to reload. And that's going to be an awkward conversation. So make sure it's there. Bring it back up to the shoulder. At this juncture, if you have sensitive ears, you might want to cover them. The groundhog will be fine, don't worry.
See that there, the groundhog way
The
out
next
there?
order is make ready, so I kick the musket out in front of me, I bring the hammer back to the ready position, present, and fire.
Whoa!
Woo!
There you go.
You scared me.
I thought you would have had a little bit more faith in me that it would have went off.
We did.
5 more tries.
There's 2.
So that's the Brown Best Musket International. Tell friend from foe. And so the most common question I get here at Fort George is, why am I dressed like I'm in the Broadway production of The Nutcracker? There is a reason why soldiers dressed like this 200 years ago. It was not purely for fashion, although that was a big consideration. It was to basically make your allegiances known. They understood camouflage 200 years ago, I assure you. No offense to modern people, it's not that complicated of a notion. That if you dress up like a bush and lay in the bushes, you might look like a bush. Unfortunately though, with this weapon here, there's not a lot of point, because every time you crack one off, you're going to see basically a giant signal in terms of smoke kicking out of the bush, and so there's no point. And so they fought in open fields in this period, they wore bright colors, and the colors were worn to make it very easy to identify which king or which country you served. And so every country had team colors, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Now the idea behind this weapon was not to stab every single enemy on the enemy side, it was to sow terror amongst them. The idea is to get them to break and run for the hills and for their mothers. That's called a rout. And once an enemy was routed, they could no longer return those volleys of fire back at you. That was really the idea behind the bayonet.